Welcome to the Mind of Iggy. Iggy Garcia here. What I'm going to talk about may be triggering for some of you. So, I just want to give you a warning, a heads up, because I don't want anybody to feel a certain way or feel like they are taken back into a different place, PTSD or anything like that. But I really wanted to talk about this because it's really bothersome. Now, I've been coaching soccer for about almost 30 some years. Those of you who don't know me, I coach at a local middle school here in Columbus, Ohio. And I've been coaching there for 21 years. This is my 21st season. Now, the story, there's nothing going on there. But the story has to do with kids and how, as coaches, we have responsibilities, and we have, part of our job is to educate as well as coaches. So the story is this. Every year when I'm coaching, I've been coaching, I took on other people's information and learned it and shared it. There's just one part of the story is that this coach, Kurt Bixel, who got it from somebody else. There's this part on there that talks about know where your kids are all the time. And, when I bring that point up, I can see a lot of faces in the parents. They're kind of like, well, he's 12. Well, he should know, blah, 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 But, when it's your kid, the ideas and thoughts sometimes don't click. Because you have your kids, and they listen to you. Generally, most of the time, your kids listen to you, and their kids listen to them. But it's when you start getting around other peer groups, girls or boys, older kids. They're in middle school. They're about ready to transition into high school. They have older brothers and sisters. And so here's the thing. Know what your kids are all the time, because we live in a world that's very unkind. Okay, unfortunately, I have to state it just like that. It's brutal. It's unkind. And the reason I bring this up is because I've been watching some videos pop up. And, these videos are about Columbus, Ohio, mainly. One lady was talking about how a family went to Easton Town Center to a restaurant to eat. And the daughter went to the bathroom. And they noticed that she had been gone for a while. Well, it turns out somebody was trying to kidnap her. She was passed out. And this lady was like trying to hug her and grab her and take her. And it turns out that she was going to be abducted. Now, how she passed out or whatever, we don't know. Because once the mom went through the bathroom doors, the stalls, the lady ran off. This is happening in your hometown. This is happening here in Columbus. This is called slavery. This is called human trafficking. This is called other people who don't care about other human beings. Now, this is nothing new. This has been going on since man could walk. Since, our ancestors walked on two legs. Taking and using and abusing, that just happens. And throughout history, slavery has been human shanghaiing, trafficking, slavery. It still exists today. It's still here. It's still relevant. It's still in the present moment. It's still in the present time. Now, some of you don't want to talk about it because, I don't want to live in fear. Well, you know what? It's not that I'm telling you living in fear. And in this video, the lady goes on and says, well, the government won't even tell you 1/10 of what really is happening because the whole population would just be in mass hysteria. Well, the way I look at it, maybe we need to go into a little bit of mass hysteria. So 415 kids who are missing last year, the numbers missing last year, 415 kids are missing in Ohio, unaccounted for. Nobody knows where they're at. Just disappeared. People just don't disappear, my friends. People don't just go somewhere and just evaporate into thin air. Something happened to those children. And I'm not talking about adults, males or females. I'm talking about children. 415 children missing as of 2021. Okay? That's a problem. That's a huge problem. That's just in our state. I'm not counting all the 50 states that we have and all the islands and all the things that go on. So as adults, as human being adults, We need to be vigilant on top of it. Our safety, their safety, everybody's safety. Why? Because if we don't look out for each other, who's going to look out for us? Now, I'm not saying you have to be in someone's butt all the time and being nosy. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you saw something in the bathroom, and some guy was, touching a little kid inappropriately, would you just blow it off? Or would you say something? Well, sometimes we have to assess the problem, right? And sometimes we don't want to get involved because we may be wrong. And sometimes we might have the fear that something might happen to us. But these are the things that happen in life. Little kids shouldn't have to fear walking down the street. I was watching the news today. Some little girl almost got abducted by a guy, but the parents taught their child how to defend herself. And the parents taught her that, hoping that never would have to use that. That's defense mechanism, that defense stuff that they taught her. And here we are. In 2022, kids are being abducted. God knows what's happening to these kids. And I just pray, truthfully, honestly, that some of these kids come home, because I know not all will. And God bless their souls, because, children are innocent, regardless of, of their age. They go through different periods. Their mind has not evolved to the capacity. Yeah, kids are smart, intelligent. But there's some things that we still have to evolve in our brain about what it means to live in the real world, what it means to be and win with adults, being in the fish tank. I talked about the zoo on my last podcast. And the reason I brought up the zoo is because we live in this bubble. We live in this box that we've created. And then some of you had some really nice comments, and some of you thought it was kind of funny, and some of you probably thought I was just being stupid. Regardless of what you thought, I don't care, because this is Mind of Iggy, and I'm just talking about what's on my mind, and you can have what's on your mind. But the point is this. We are all connected. We are all in this together. We are all navigating this life together. No matter how much you don't think we are, we are. We all each affect each other's lives with all the decisions we make. Being angry, sad, mad, indifferent, proactive, we're all involved. But you know what? We don't all have to participate. I get that. I understand. But when it comes to kids and human trafficking, and girls and women and children and men being trafficked, modern day slavery in this world, it blows my mind that another human being would think that it's okay to just grab somebody off the street, throw them in a van, or however they do it, because they owe a debt, because they think it's cool, because they have no moral ground, they have no connection to this person. And and this is not just by ethnicity. This is worldwide. This is in every country in the world. This happens. This happens in Peru. This happens all over. So they were talking about that Easton restaurant, right? That I was talking about. Well, supposedly the toilet seat was laced. And that's how they got the little girl. And that's how they got her. In Peru, where I'm from, they actually have cell phones that are contaminated with chemicals on it. A guy will come up to you and say, hey, my cell phone's not working. You know how to fix it. As soon as you touch it, you pass out. And next thing you know, who knows what happens. These guys are clever. But if they put that much energy to abduct and steal people, just think if they put that much energy to do something positive and right for the world. But they don't do it. Criminals don't do it. Because these are sheer criminals. These are people who are, I'm sorry, but that's evil. Oh, but Iggy, maybe they, it's not right. It's not right. You have no right to take another human being's life. You have no right to just take somebody because it's going to profit your pocketbook. Now, you're defending yourself. That's a whole different game, my friends. We're talking a whole different scenario. I'm talking about innocent people who have, the only thing they did is woke up in the morning, looked at the sun, looked at the sky, and said, well, it's going to be a great day. And they end up in the back of someone's vehicle, never to be heard from again. I've worked with some groups here locally, and there's some groups that, sometimes the men trigger the women who have been trafficked. I've seen it. It's just reality, and I understand. It's a very touchy feeling of emotions. The PTSD that runs through that is high. And you know what? They have the right to feel what they need to feel. Those of you who are survivors of that, I commend you for staying vigilant and staying in just the hope and you escaping from that. Now, children may not fare as well. These little kids that go missing, I really think about that. And I know this isn't a topic that everybody wants to hear, and a topic that no one really wants to look at, because it's too sensitive, it's too hard, it's too deep. Oh, but the love and light. You know what? Don't talk to me about love and light, okay, if you're not willing to at least have an eye open for your brother or your sister. You know, you could be the most loving, love and light person, but if you saw something going wrong and you don't step in, you don't say anything, then you're really not love and light. You're the shadow. You've casted a shadow upon something. And then that's something you have to live with and deal with. So how do we change this? How do we work through this? How do we move through this? Well, these are things, I'm sure you can find resources online. How to protect yourself from being abducted. How to protect yourself. You know, energy follows intent. Oh, Iggy, energy follows intent. What you're going to intend, you're going to create. Listen, it's in the world, okay? Some people don't think about being abducted, but that happens to them. Okay, there are people who are prepared, there are people who are not prepared. Regardless, we're not prepared. Every time we drive a car, the potentiality of being in an accident could be there. It's kind of the same thing. It's a random draw sometimes, what happens to people. It's not always the choices that we want to make or the situations we're in. Sometimes we just find ourselves in a situation. But, you know, I walk down the street and I walk to the park and I'm here and I'm driving by going, well, there's a lot of little kids just running around and I don't see any parents. And I mean, I'm sure you could be running around. I ran around as a kid, but was it different back then? No, it wasn't different. You know what was different back then? The only thing that's different back then is that we ran in little groups, little gangs of kids, you know? So there was protection in numbers. But now you don't see that as much. You don't see kids. We're isolated. We're indifferent. You know, we walk in pairs of twos at most. But you don't see the little 5, 6, 7, or 8 group of kids just hanging out like they used to. You know, if you're an abductor type person, you're never going to go around kids with that many kids. You know, these are stalkers. These are predators. These are people who they prey on. And, you know, what even makes me more upset is that when the Epstein Island was hosting all those people, and we know a lot of these people, not personally, but we know them because of TV associations, political associations, and they all been there. What's their story? What's their gig? But why won't these books be released? Why won't these little journals be released into the public arena for us to see, so we can protect our kids, so they can be accountable for the things that they did wrong? Listen, if I did something wrong, I would have to be accountable for what I did wrong, right? I would have no immunity. The only reason these guys have immunity, and the only reason they're safe right now, is because someone got paid off, man. Somebody paid them off. Oh, Iggy, can you prove that? I don't need to prove anything. It's right in front of you. If you don't see it, then you're blind. And you're pretending, and you think that I'm just reaching. No, I'm not reaching. Okay, money talks, bullshit walks, my friends. Okay, so that's why you don't see anything with these Epsteins and his girlfriend with this little black book she has. Why you don't see anybody going to jail? Because money talked. Money talks, man, in this world. And when there's 415 kids missing from last year in 2021 in Ohio alone, you got to wonder what's going on in the world. What else is happening? What are they really not telling you? What's the agendas? What are the true agendas? I don't know. I only know what I know, right? We only can know what we know. We can only work from the spaces of what we're used to, where we're comfortable. And I know this isn't comfortable, but this is real, and this is happening. What part can we take to help? Sometimes it's just being vigilant and observant and being aware. Because you know what? It can happen to me. It can happen to anyone. And as I have little grandchildren growing up in this world, I know when they came into this world's fucked up. I got that. I know that. Even when I had my kids, my wife and I knew that. But here's the thing. We were still hopeful that they were going to make it, that they can still make it in this world. And they're making it. In their own time, their own accord. Now, there are other little kids, they're less unfortunate. But every parent who's had a child had the same dream for their kids, to grow up to be something special. I don't think too many parents don't look at their kids and go, well, you're going to grow up and be shit. No, your kids grow up because you want them to be something. You want them to do something. You want them to be successful. You want them to be better than you. And so this is why it's close to my heart when I see little kids being abused, little kids being hurt. I was abused as a child. I'm not here to talk about my story about that, but I was abused, molested, and raped by my uncle. He's dead now. God bless his soul. Hopefully him and God can figure something out. But regardless, I forgave myself over the years for that. And it's painful to talk about, as my sisters too were molested and hurt by family members. And you know, as kids sometimes do things together and they don't mean to do it. But there's so much trauma and so much goo running through there. The lines get blurred and things get confusing. But here's what I do know is this. 415 kids missing in Ohio alone is too many. And people being abducted and people still missing. You have friends. I have friends whose family or a friend has been missing for quite some time. Keep your eyes open. Just keep your eyes open. Be attentive. Know where your kids are all the time. Don't assume you know. Don't assume they're over at little Johnny or Jackie's house, because kids are smart. You were a kid once and you did things and you snuck out that window and you went down the park. You went to places where you weren't supposed to be, hanging out with the older kids. You know, all it takes is a slip up, an accident, and it's done. So I send out prayers and I send out love, hopefully that these children are found. If they're not alive, if they're dead, hopefully that their remains are recovered so their parents can have closure and peace. But those who are still living and they're out there, have hope. If this video finds you, just have hope. Have hope that people are looking and our eyes are open. It's just really disturbing to know that another adult, human being adults, would do this to kids, to women, to children, to men, to anybody in order to profitize off of it. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. It's terrible. I don't even want to imagine the things that could go wrong, happen. But I know that these things do occur. So let's be vigilant as a group, as a society. We know that there are bad people out there. We know there's bad out there. We know that there's shadows out there. But we also know there's light and there's always hope. And the hope is that we become awake to the knowledge and the sincerity that there are good people still, that not everybody's suspect. Our country is so divided right now. Our country is so ripped apart over stupid stuff and over legitimate stuff. We're just ripped apart. And here we are. Here we are. And you know what concerns me is I just hope that one day that we could just live normal human beings, whatever normal is, getting along, trusting each other, loving each other, and not having to abuse somebody. And I know that there's mental illness out there. And I know there are people who are sick, who are not well, and they go out and do heinous things. Because that's just kind of how it is. Humans are designed flawed. We are designed flawed, and we are designed perfect. But there's perfection in the imperfection. And the imperfection of us is the things that we do well. And there are always weaknesses that we have to work on. But little children should never have to pay the price for an adult's decision to do things wrong. Think about it. If you see something that is odd, not a character, call 911. Call the police. Because you know what? Us being active and proactive, none of this stuff will continue in the capacity it does. Unfortunately, I know that I'm a dreamer, and I know I want to see a world, not a perfect world, but I want to see a better world. And I know that these things happen, but I get really close to my vest because I have grandkids, and these grandkids, I want to see them being safe. And I know there's just crazy stuff in the world. And I know crazy things have happened to me and my siblings over the years. So we have to do better. All right, guys. Just stay vigilant. Stay attentive. Know where your kids are all the time. All right, because that's important. Know where you're at. Let them know where you're at, too. Okay? And, do the right things. Do the right things. And the right things will come your way. All right, guys. I will be drumming at Mystic Nirvana here around 7 p.m. today. And then I'll be at Schiller Park tomorrow for those of you who want to participate. Well, that would be Friday today and then Saturday tomorrow. If you can't make it, September 11th, we'll be at Ash Cave doing the big drumming. That should be a lot of fun. So hopefully see you guys then. All right. So guys, stay vigilant. Stay on top of it. Be with it. Don't give up. Be good. It's good to be here. Ho'oponopono matakuyasin, and I will see you guys next time. at the Mind of Iggy. Let's stay positive. Let's stay moving forward. Let's project good energy. And let's just be good, decent human beings as best we can, especially in the time where there's a lot of discord. And you know what? Unfortunately, my friends, since man's been here, there's always been discord. So the less discord we have, the better. Oh.